Okay, so picture your garden right now. The tomatoes are looking a bit tired. Maybe you already pulled the zucchini because honestly you are sick of zucchini. The whole bed's got that slightly deflated end of summer look, and there is a pretty strong pull to just let it go. Call it a season, rake it over, walk away, come back next April. Here's the thing though, that feeling you are having right now is based on a pretty reasonable but completely wrong assumption that vegetables, all of them, want warmth. Some do, yes, but there is a whole other category of vegetables that have been sitting there quietly all summer, kind of miserable in the heat, just waiting for exactly the weather you are currently unimpressed by. Quick, important note before we go any further, because I don't want anyone watching this and getting the wrong idea. So, if you are in the UK, the US, or Canada, September for you is early autumn. Cooling air, still warm soil, days getting shorter. This video is built around that. But if you are in Australia though, September is spring for you, not autumn. So hang tight, because near the end, I will tell my Australian friends exactly how to use this same list for your season. For everyone else, let's talk about why these plants have basically been waiting all summer for this exact moment. There is an actual botanical reason for this, and it's not complicated. A huge group of vegetables, mostly in the Brassica family, plus a few others, are class as cool season crops. That's not marketing language, it's a genuine horticulture category. These plants photosynthesize more efficiently in moderate temperatures than in summer heat. As the days get shorter, they are also far less likely to bolt, which is when a plant panics. It thinks its season is ending and rushes to throw up a flower stalk instead of growing more leaf. And because most garden pests slow right down as it cools up, you get noticeably less insect damage too. Some of these crops go one step further. After a light frost, they actually convert stored starches into sugars, which works almost like a natural antifreeze. Which side effect is exactly why so many of them taste better after a frost than they ever did in July. So this isn't a trick or a workaround. This is just growing the right plant at the right time, which sounds obvious when I say it like that, but somehow nobody tells you this part. Alright, so let's get into the actual list. 15 of them, and I'm going to group these so it actually makes sense, not just fire 15 names at you and hope you remember any of it. That doesn't work. First up, your first leafy wins, the instant gratification crop. Spinach is basically built for this. It hates summer heat, bolts almost the second things get warm, but drop it in cooling September soil and it just gets on with growing calmly without any drama. Arugula, or rocket if that is your word for it, is honestly the poster child for this whole video. Grow it in July and it turns bitter and flowery in about 2 weeks. Grow it now in September and it stays tender and peppery for ages. Mustard greens are in the same boat, genuinely thriving on the cooler air. Loose leaf lettuce comes back into its own here too, since lettuce famously sulks and turns bitter once summer temperatures climb. And bok choy, this one honestly surprises people because it doesn't just tolerate the cold, it bulks up because of it, getting crunchier as the temperature drops instead of falling apart. Next, your sturdier greens, the ones that actually improve with a bit of cold rather than just tolerating it. Kale. Kale is the obvious one. And yes, that whole kale tastes better after frost. Things you have probably heard is genuinely true. That's the starch to sugar conversion I mentioned earlier. Not just gardening folklore. Swiss chard handles the cooling weather really well too, staying productive well past when most of your summer crops have thrown in the towel. And collard greens, similarly, actually get sweeter and more tender the further into autumn you go. Then we got your roots, which use this window a little differently. they are sizing up underground while the top growth stays compact and manageable. Radishes are the speed demons here. Some varieties ready in under a month, and the cooling air keeps them crisp instead of going all woody like they can in a spring heat wave. Turnips do something similar, growing quickly in that still warm soil. Beets handle the cooler air well too, and honestly, tend to come out sweeter for it. And carrots? This one comes with a genuine caveat because carrots need real time in the ground. So this only works if you have still got enough days left before your first hard frost. And I say hard frost, which by the way is going to vary a lot depending on where you actually live. Someone gardening in California has a very different runway than someone in Manitoba. So it's worth actually checking your local average first frost date before committing to carrots specifically. Now the odd one out on this list. And I want to be upfront because this one, so nobody feels misled. Garlic. You are now harvesting garlic this month, yeah? You are not harvesting garlic this month. Yes, you are planting it. But it absolutely belongs here because garlic specifically needs this cooling September or October soil to get its root established before it goes dormant for winter, ready to take off again in spring. So its list prefers September weather in the sense of loving to grow right now, and more needs September or even October to even have a shot at doing well next year. Garlic still earns its spots on the list, but I just wanted to be honest about what you are actually getting. And finally, a couple of specialists worth knowing about. Kohlrabi is a genuinely understated cool season crop, sizing up nicely without the bolting issues it tends to have in summer heat. And cilantro, or coriander as some people call it, if you have ever grown this in summer, you already know the pain. It bolts to seed almost the second you turn your back. But in cooler weather, in September and October, it actually sticks around and stays usable for a proper amount of time, instead of giving you about 4 days of usable leaf before going to seed. So that's your 15. Spinach, arugula, mustard greens, lettuce, bok choy, kale, chard collards, radishes, turnips, beets, carrots, garlic, kohlrabi, and cilantro. Now, quick honest caveat before we wrap up, because I did promise you no exaggeration. None of this is a guarantee like the viral myth gardening videos on YouTube. How well these actually perform still depends on your specific climate, your soil, and how early or late your first frost lands in this particular year. Cool season doesn't mean cold fruit for all of them, and a hard, early frost can still catch some of these off guard, especially anything you have just sown. So treat this as a strong seasonal advantage, not a magic trick. And now, as promised, if you are in Australia, here is how this actually applies to you. You are heading into spring, not autumn. But the underlying science is basically identical, just flipped a bit. These same 15 crops are cool season lovers, which means most of them are also excellent spring choices for you right now in Australia, while your days are still cool and lengthening rather than shortening. The garlic timing is the one that fits properly though. That's very much an autumn planted crop for you. So hang on to this list and come back to it around March or April instead. So here is the actual takeaway. Your growing season didn't end when the tomatoes gave up. It just changed direction. Different plants, same garden. And honestly, in a lot of ways, an easier season to grow in. Less watering stress, fewer pests, and in more than one case, better and sweeter flavor than you would have gotten in July anyway. So tell me, if you are in the UK, the US or Canada, what are you actually sowing this week? And if you are in Australia, go ahead and bookmark this one. Set yourself a reminder and come back to it when your own cool season rolls around. Either way, I'll see you in the next one.